All right. My neighbor is doing some construction work, so there's a saw operating in the background here. But anyhow, since I've had most of these engines for a bit now, and I've had a chance to run them for a while, and I've had some questions on the channel about which engine is the best. I guess I'm going to try and do a full review of all these ones that I have, and a quick recommendation on buying. I'm going to do them in the order that I like them as far as reliability. So first up, and I think the best choice for anybody who just wants to get one of these that's going to be easy to use and reliable and the most fun, is going to be the ET1 here. It's the basic one, the first design they had. I don't know what revision I have. I know there's a few people who've got some minor differences, but it always runs the best and starts the best. It's got the hit and miss governing, so it's got the interest there. Mine has the old style fuel tank mount on the side that's screwed into the base here. You can see the new style fuel tank mount attaches to the main engine. The only major issue I had was when I got it, it had the compression problem where I had to, and there's a video of it, I just popped the head off and put that thread to make sure that the piston sleeve was sealing against the head gasket. Before that, the piston sleeve was below the level of the main body here, and so it wasn't sealing against the head gasket properly. So yeah, overall the ET1 is probably the one I would get if you didn't know which one to get, because it's the one I've had the easiest time doing minor maintenance on, and it runs the best and is most forgiving of what temperature it is. Next up, I would put as far as getting work done on them, actually the ET6 here. I forgot what I said and accidentally grabbed them in the order I bought them, but I would say the ET6 here is the next in line for reliability. It's got the flyball governor, and although I have some videos of doing some modifications, those were not like necessary, as it were. It did run really well right out of the box, and it's got the side shaft there, so of the ET series, it's actually my favorite because I have a personal preference for the side shaft design. It's hit and miss again. It has a nice run on the fuel tank, and it has the new style bracket here that connects underneath the body here. It curves around and goes under the body there. So, and I would assume that the ET1 has got this new style too, but I'm not certain, because it's certainly a better design than being screwed to the base here, much more stable. So yeah, the ET6 would be my second in line there. After that, pull in the ET7 here. The ET7 is the long rocker shaft hit and miss. It is a pretty good runner. The needle in mine is an odd shape. It's the one that's not quite the right shape, and I need to do something about that. But it does run for a bit. It will run rich, and so it may go through fuel pretty quickly, but it's a good runner otherwise, and hasn't required a lot of modification to keep it going. So that's a good one, and it occurs to me I did not dump the water out of the hopper when I was done running this one. So after the ET7, yeah, the ET7 is the rocker one. I always get the 6 and 7 confused, so I don't know what I said. The ET6 is the fly ball, the ET7 is the rocker arm. The ETX is going to be, out of the hit and miss governed engines, is going to be the one that I would rate the lowest. Not because I don't like it, but because as you've seen on the other videos, I had to do a major modification on the cooling system. The cooling system it comes with has the low radiator. It's got very low volume. It doesn't prime all the way to the top of the cylinder, so it gets a big airlock in it and doesn't really cool sufficiently. This engine also runs the fastest of all of the hit and miss engines. So as you can see, the modification I did, this is a computer cooling radiator, the 80 millimeter square, and I just used RC fuel tubing to plumb that up to the connections where I cut it off the engine. To fill the system, I use my syringe to suck air out and put water in until it is as full as it gets. This little pump here does a good job of pumping the water through the system, so as long as you want to do the modifications to get more volume in the system and get the water out, or get the air for the most part out, the pump will prime and will move the water through it, so you don't have to get all of the air out, but you do need more volume than the stock system has. Otherwise, the engine is good and does run pretty well and can be pretty enjoyable. The last of the ET series, finish moving here. The ET8 here, it's the throttle governed engine. It's the one that when I got it, it overspeeded and locked up, and then I got the parts and put it back together. I'm still having some issues with the carburetor, but the other channel that I saw, they pulled their carburetor apart. I will probably do that. Honestly, the ET8, if you like throttle governing and really want to have that, it's a perfectly good engine. You just have to be really careful about it. Make sure you don't overspeed it, and be prepared to have the carburetor problems. But honestly, for the price that these engines are, the fact that they have a throttle carburetor at all is pretty good, because the tolerances are what cost money, and small engines require tighter tolerances. So yeah, at this price, the tolerances in that carburetor can't be particularly good, as it were. One last note about the ET series engines. Well, the ignition systems for all these engines have the 3 battery holder. I do have to have this is a hair tie, but you need to have a rubber band or a tie of some sort on the holder, because the middle battery spot, as it vibrates, it pops the battery out, and that will obviously break the ignition circuit, and then the engine will quit for long runs. So you have to make sure that you have a plan to hold the batteries in place, and that's because these battery holders are not actually designed for high vibration environments. So again, having a battery holder designed for a high vibration environment is a higher cost item. So the price that these engines are being sold at means you have to, account for dealing with certain little annoyances. But last of all, and the EM1 isn't last because it's my least favorite, it's last because it's not part of the ET series. So the ET series I did in order of recommendation. So the ET1, definitely my main recommendation. The ET6 with the flyball governor is second in line. The ET7 is third, just because it tends to run a little rich and can be a bit more cantankerous than the 6. And then the ETX is fourth, mainly because of the heavy modification required for the cooling system if you want to run it on for long periods. And the ET8 is just got a lot of issues that I've had with it, and I can't be confident in doing better recommendation until I have more time with it. The EM1 is the only small brass engine I have from any of the manufacturers, it's the only small engine I have. If you watch my videos about Loctiting flywheels back and taking care of these pins and everything, it does run really well once I got it put back together and Loctited up. So if you pick one of these up, absolutely do it. They're a great little engine. I like mine a lot. I've said before, I really just love the 2-piston single-cylinder design. I find that to be a really pleasing engine to watch run. When you pick one up, check out my videos about all the little odds and ends to make sure it holds together while it's running and doesn't go out of time and cause frustration like that. Because if I had known that I needed to double check the timing all the time because everything was going to move, which I should have expected on such a small engine, I would have had a more enjoyable experience with it. But overall, I'm quite happy with it. And again, none of the problems with this engine are necessarily anything wrong with manufacturing. The size of the grub screws holding this engine together are just so small that they can't really do the job on their own. So a little bit of Loctite is necessary in the application, and it's not really an unreasonable problem to have. I will again say that the carb adjustment on this engine is very sensitive, so once you get it going, I don't touch the needle at all. The ET series, I adjust the needles on those quite a bit because they need fine-tuning. So that is a current review as of the making of this video, I guess.